The birthday card that exposed my dad's 10-year affair with our family friend almost destroyed everything. But Mom's genius revenge changed our lives forever. I found it completely by accident. Dad had asked me to grab his screwdriver from his workshop toolbox, something I'd done 100 times before. But when I opened the middle drawer, there it was. A birthday card with handwriting I recognized immediately. My heart stopped. The card was pale blue with silver lettering, nothing fancy, but the message inside made my blood run cold. Happy birthday to the love of my life. 10 years of stolen moments but worth every secret. Forever yours, Lisa. Our family friend Lisa, who'd been coming to our house every week for the past decade. Lisa, who my mom considered her best friend. Lisa, who I'd called Aunt Lisa since I was 8 years old. Lisa, who had babysat me countless times when my parents went out for date nights. The workshop suddenly felt too small, too hot. I could hear my dad humming in the kitchen, probably making his famous Saturday morning pancakes. Mom was likely in the garden, tending to her roses like she did every weekend. Everything was normal. Everything was exactly as it should be, except nothing would ever be normal again. My hands were shaking as I read the message 3 more times, hoping the words would somehow change. But they didn't. 10 years. This had been going on for 10 years, which meant it started when I was only 8 years old. When Lisa was our trusted babysitter, when she was helping Mom plan birthday parties and holiday dinners. All those family gatherings rushed through my mind like a horrible movie. Lisa laughing at Dad's jokes is a little too hard. Dad always volunteered to drive Lisa home after parties. The way they'd sometimes disappear during family BBQs. Dad to check the grill. Lisa to help in the kitchen. How had Mom never noticed? How had I never noticed? I remembered last Christmas when Lisa brought Dad an expensive cologne as a thank you gift for being such a wonderful friend to the family. Mom had thought it was sweet. I'd thought it was weird that she spent so much on him. Now I knew the truth. She wasn't buying gifts for a friend. She was buying gifts for her lover. The nausea hit me like a truck. I had to grip the workbench to keep from falling over. This woman had sat at our dinner table every week for years, hugging my mom, listening to her share her hopes and fears, all while secretly sleeping with her husband. She knew everything about our family, our finances, our problems, our dreams, and she'd been using that information to help destroy us from the inside. Dad called from the kitchen. "Hey kiddo, did you find that screwdriver?" I froze. How was I supposed to face him, knowing what I now knew? How was I supposed to look at Mom and pretend everything was fine? "Just a minute, Dad," I called back, my voice somehow steady despite the earthquake happening inside my chest. I stared at the card again. The date showed it was from last month, Dad's 47th birthday, which meant this wasn't some old relic from the past. This was current. This was happening, right now, under our roof, behind Mom's back. But what made my stomach twist even more was realizing Lisa's divorce 2 years ago suddenly made perfect sense. She'd claimed her husband was distant and unloving. Now I wondered if he'd discovered what she was really like. Had she been cheating on him too? With my dad? With other married men? The worst part was knowing that every family photo hanging in our hallway included her. Every holiday memory I had included her betrayal. She hadn't just destroyed my parents' marriage. She'd contaminated every happy memory our family had created over the past decade. I carefully placed the card back exactly where I'd found it and closed the drawer. My hands were still trembling, but my mind was starting to clear. I had 3 choices. Confront Dad immediately, tell Mom what I'd discovered, or investigate deeper to understand the full scope of their betrayal. The smart choice was obvious. I needed to know everything before making any decisions. Because if they'd been this careful for 10 years, there had to be more evidence. More lies. More planning. And as I walked back toward the kitchen, hearing Dad's cheerful humming and smelling his pancakes, I realized something that chilled me to the bone. If I'd found this card by pure accident, what else were they hiding? What other secrets were buried in plain sight? I had no idea that what I'd discover over the next 48 hours would change not just my life, but would give Mom the ammunition she needed for the most brilliant revenge I'd ever witnessed. I chose to investigate deeper because I needed to know exactly how far this betrayal went, before destroying our family with accusations I couldn't prove. The next 3 days were absolute hell. Every morning I watched Dad kiss Mom goodbye before work, knowing those same lips had been on Lisa just hours earlier. Every evening, I sat through family dinners where Dad asked about Mom's day, pretending to care while planning his next secret meeting. My body started rebelling against the stress. The food tasted like cardboard. Sleep became impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that birthday card message burned into my vision. 10 years of stolen moments. The phrase played on repeat in my head until I thought I'd go crazy. The worst part was watching Mom. She'd hum while doing laundry, completely oblivious that she was washing clothes her husband had worn to cheat on her. She'd planned grocery lists that included Lisa's favorite wine for their weekly coffee dates. The same coffee dates where Lisa probably laughed about fooling poor naive Mom. I started noticing things I'd been blind to before. Dad's phone always faced down during dinner. He'd disappear to take work calls that lasted exactly 15 minutes. His gym bag stayed packed in his car trunk, even on days when he claimed he didn't work out. But the detail that made me physically sick was remembering how Dad always volunteered to drive Lisa home after family gatherings. "It's on my way," he'd say, while Mom cleaned up dishes, grateful for his thoughtfulness. Those drives weren't kindness, they were opportunities. I had to know the truth. Not just about the affair, but about how long they'd been planning to destroy our family. Because that birthday card wasn't just a love note, it was evidence of something bigger. My investigation started with Dad's phone. I chose to investigate deeper because I needed to know exactly how far this betrayal went before destroying our family with accusations I couldn't prove. The next 3 days were absolute hell. Every morning, I watched Dad kiss Mom goodbye before work, knowing those same lips had been on Lisa just hours earlier. Every evening, I sat through family dinners where Dad asked about Mom's day, pretending to care while planning his next secret meeting. My body started rebelling against the stress. The food tasted like cardboard. Sleep became impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that birthday card message burned into my vision. 10 years of stolen moments. The phrase played on repeat in my head until I thought I'd go crazy. The worst part was watching Mom. She'd hum while doing laundry, completely oblivious that she was washing clothes her husband had worn to cheat on her. She'd plan grocery lists that included Lisa's favorite wine for their weekly coffee dates. The same coffee dates where Lisa probably laughed about fooling poor, naive Mom. I started noticing things I'd been blind to before. Dad's phone always faced down during dinner. He'd disappear to take work calls that lasted exactly 15 minutes. His gym bag stayed packed in his car trunk, even on days when he claimed he didn't work out. But the detail that made me physically sick was remembering how Dad always volunteered to drive Lisa home after family gatherings. "It's on my way," he'd say, while Mom cleaned up dishes, grateful for his thoughtfulness. Those drives weren't kindness, they were opportunities. I had to know the truth, not just about the affair, but about how long they'd been planning to destroy our family. Because that birthday card wasn't just a love note, it was evidence of something bigger. My investigation started with Dad's phone. Every morning, Dad showered for exactly 12 minutes. That became my window. His phone was always charging on the nightstand, and he never bothered with a complicated password, just Mom's birthday. The irony made me nauseous. I started screenshotting everything. Text messages, call logs, photo galleries, location history. What I found in the first week made my hands shake so badly I could barely hold the phone. The messages went back 2 years, hundreds of them. Not just "I love you" texts, but detailed planning sessions, meeting times, hotel reservations, cover stories they'd use with their families. They even had code names. Dad was M and Lisa was Sunshine. But what really got to me were the messages about Mom. Lisa would write things like, "Poor thing, has no idea what's right in front of her face. And at least we know she'll never suspect anything. She trusts me completely." Dad's responses were even worse. "She's so busy with her garden and book club, she doesn't even notice when I'm gone." For a brief moment, I convinced myself maybe this was just emotional cheating. Maybe they'd never actually crossed the physical line. Maybe I was blowing everything out of proportion. That false hope lasted exactly one day. The photo gallery destroyed any remaining doubt. Hotel room selfies, romantic dinner pictures at restaurants I'd never heard of, images from weekend work trips where Lisa somehow appeared in every location. They weren't just having an affair, they were living an entire alternate life together. The location data told the real story. Every Tuesday for the past 6 months, Dad's phone showed him at the Marriott downtown during lunch hours. Every Tuesday, Lisa's Instagram stories showed her running errands in the same area. Tuesdays were Mom's volunteer days at the animal shelter. They'd been using her schedule against her. Looking back, the warning signs had been everywhere. I just didn't know what to look for. Dad's behavior changes were subtle but consistent. The new cologne Mom complimented him on, Lisa had bought it. His sudden interest in fitness after years of avoiding the gym, Lisa posted workout selfies constantly. Even his music taste had shifted to match hers, trading classic rock for the pop songs she shared on social media. The phone calls were the biggest red flag I'd missed. Dad would step outside to answer certain calls, claiming they were boring work stuff. But those calls happened at weird hours. 6 a.m. before anyone was awake, 11 p.m. after Mom went to bed. Work doesn't call at those times. Lovers do. Lisa's behavior had changed too. She'd started bringing expensive gifts to family gatherings, designer candles for Mom, craft beer for Dad, trendy jewelry for me. At the time, Mom praised her generosity. Now I realized she was buying our silence with presents, making sure we all loved having her around. The biggest pattern I'd missed was timing. Lisa's divorce coincided perfectly with Dad's work promotion that required more travel. Her move to an apartment 15 minutes from Dad's office happened right when he started working late 3 nights per week. These weren't coincidences, they were coordinated moves. But just when I thought I understood the full scope of their betrayal, I overheard something that changed everything. Dad was on the phone in the garage, speaking in hushed tones. "The birthday party is perfect timing. After we tell everyone we're together, we can finally stop pretending. I'm tired of lying to her." My blood turned to ice. They weren't just having an affair, they were planning to humiliate Mom publicly at Dad's birthday party next week. I thought I'd discovered the worst of their betrayal, but what I found next made me realize I'd barely scratched the surface. Following Dad became my obsession. When he claimed to work late on Thursday, I borrowed Mom's car and drove to his office parking lot. His truck wasn't there. Using the location app I'd secretly installed on his phone, I tracked him to Lisa's apartment complex. What I witnessed through her living room window destroyed whatever remained of my childhood innocence. They weren't just lovers, they were planning our family's destruction like a business transaction. Lisa had a notebook spread across her coffee table, and I could see them discussing documents. Dad was pointing at papers, his expressions serious and calculating. I managed to get closer by pretending to walk a neighbor's dog I'd befriended. Through the thin apartment walls, I heard fragments of their conversation that made my heart stop. "The house will sell quickly in this market," Lisa was saying. "Your half should be enough for the down payment on that place we looked at. She'll get primary custody, but weekend visits are fine with me," Dad replied. "I've never been cut out for the daily parenting stuff anyway." They were dividing up my family like business assets. Dad was planning to abandon Mom, sell our house, and start fresh with Lisa. He was willing to trade his family for weekend visits and a clean conscience. But the conversation that followed broke something inside me forever. "What about your daughter?" Lisa asked. Dad's response came without hesitation. "She's 18 now, practically an adult. Kids adapt. She'll understand eventually that I deserve to be happy." I'd never felt rage like that before. Pure, burning fury that made my vision blur and my hands clench into fists. At that moment, I realized Dad didn't just betray Mom. He'd betrayed me too. But what I discovered about their timeline made everything infinitely worse. They were planning to announce their relationship at Dad's birthday party in 5 days. I couldn't carry this secret alone anymore. The weight of their betrayal was crushing me, and Mom deserved to know what was coming before they humiliated her in front of 50 guests. I found her in the kitchen Saturday morning, making her famous blueberry muffins for Dad's upcoming party. The sight of her careful preparation for his celebration, while he planned to destroy her life at that same event, made my chest tighten with fury. "Mom, we need to talk," I said, my voice barely steady. She looked up with that bright smile I'd grown up loving, flour dusting her apron, completely unaware that her world was about to collapse. "What's on your mind, sweetheart?" I pulled out my phone, showing her screenshots I'd taken of Dad's messages. Her smile faded as she read the first text exchange. "What is this?" she whispered. I placed the birthday card on the kitchen counter between us. Her eyes moved from my phone screen to the card, then back to my face, searching for some explanation that would make this all make sense. "Mom, Dad's been having an affair with Lisa for 10 years. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Mom's face went through a series of changes: confusion, disbelief, recognition, devastation. Her hand started trembling as she picked up the birthday card, reading Lisa's message over and over. The coffee mug slipped from her other hand, crashing against the kitchen floor in an explosion of ceramic and hot liquid. The sound of breaking ceramic seemed to echo forever in our suddenly silent kitchen. Mom didn't even look down at the mess spreading across the floor. Her eyes remained fixed on that birthday card, like it might disappear if she blinked. 10 years, she repeated, her voice hollow. 10 years. I watched my mother age a decade in 30 seconds. The laugh lines around her eyes deepened into crevices of pain. Her shoulders sagged under the weight of this revelation. The woman who'd raised me to be strong, who'd taught me that family came first, who'd built her entire identity around being a good wife and mother, she was crumbling in front of me. The kitchen clock ticked loudly in the silence. Outside, our neighbor was mowing his lawn, the sound muffled and distant. Inside, time seemed frozen as Mom processed the complete destruction of everything she'd believed about her life. Her breathing became shallow and rapid. She gripped the counter with both hands, knuckles white, as if the physical support might somehow hold her emotional world together. "Lisa," she whispered. "My best friend Lisa." The pain in those words was unbearable. This wasn't just about discovering adultery. This was about realizing that two people she'd trusted most had been conspiring against her for a decade. Every shared secret, every vulnerable moment, every time she'd confided in Lisa about marriage troubles, it had all been ammunition for her husband's lover. Mom's eyes met mine, and I saw something I'd never seen before, a coldness that made my blood freeze. "How long have you known?" 3 days, I admitted. I found the card by accident in Dad's toolbox. Mom nodded slowly, as if this confirmed something she'd already suspected. "Show me everything." I hesitated. The screenshots on my phone contained details that would destroy whatever remained of her faith in humanity. Messages about her being pathetic and clueless. Photos of Dad and Lisa in hotel rooms. Plans to sell our house and abandon our family. "Mom, maybe you don't need to see." "Everything," she repeated, her voice gaining strength. So I showed her. Every text message, every photo, every piece of evidence I'd collected over 3 sleepless days. I watched her face harden with each revelation, the devastation in her eyes slowly transforming into something more dangerous. When she reached the messages about Dad's willingness to abandon me for weekend visits, her jaw clenched. When she saw Lisa's mocking comments about her naive best friend, her hands curled into fists. But when she read their plans to humiliate her at the birthday party, their intention to announce their relationship in front of family, friends, and neighbors, something fundamental shifted in her expression. "They want to destroy me publicly," she said, her voice eerily calm. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner, but I wanted to make sure." She held up a hand to stop me. "You did exactly right. You gave me time to prepare." The word prepare sent chills down my spine. This wasn't the broken woman from 5 minutes ago. This was someone else entirely. Someone planning war. "I need to tell you something," Mom said, her voice steady now. "I've suspected something was wrong for months." My heart stopped. "What do you mean?" The late phone calls, the new clothes, the way he started showering immediately after coming home from work. She wiped her eyes, but they remained dry now, as if she'd used up all her tears. But it was Lisa's behavior that really made me wonder. I stared at my mother. realizing she was far more observant than either Dad or Lisa had given her credit for. She started asking too many questions about our finances, our marriage, our future plans. Questions a friend wouldn't normally ask. Mom's voice grew harder. She knew about the promotion before I did. She knew about your college acceptance before I did. She always seemed to know our business before we told her. The pieces clicked into place. Lisa hadn't just been Dad's lover, she'd been his informant, helping him stay one step ahead of any suspicion. "Why didn't you confront them?" I asked. Mom looked at me with eyes that held a wisdom I'd never seen before. "Because suspecting and knowing are two different things, and knowing without proof is worthless." She walked to the kitchen window, staring out at our backyard where we'd hosted countless family gatherings with Lisa as our honored guest. "But now I have proof, and more importantly, I have 5 days." The way she said it made my stomach drop. 5 days until what? Mom turned back to me with a smile that was both terrifying and magnificent. 5 days to plan the perfect revenge. 5 days to plan the perfect revenge. Mom wasn't broken anymore. Over the next week, I watched her transform into someone I barely recognized, someone strategic, methodical, and absolutely terrifying in her calm determination. She spent hours on her laptop printing bank statements and credit card records. Every hotel receipt, every unexplained charge, every suspicious transaction got organized into neat folders. She contacted a divorce attorney without telling anyone, scheduling consultations during her usual grocery shopping trips. "Knowledge is power," she explained, while highlighting Dad's credit card charges from romantic restaurants I'd never heard of. But timing is everything. The birthday party planning continued as normal. Mom ordered Dad's favorite catered food, sent invitations to 50 guests, and arranged the backyard with festive decorations. Dad beamed with satisfaction, thinking he'd get to announce his new relationship surrounded by family and friends. What he didn't know was that Mom had made some special additions to the guest list. Lisa's ex-husband received a personal invitation. Dad's boss and 3 coworkers were invited. His parents, who lived 2 hours away, were convinced to attend with promises of a very special announcement. "Why invite more people to witness your humiliation?" I asked. Mom's smile was ice cold. "Because the more people who see the truth, the less they can lie about what really happened." She spent 2 evenings creating a special slideshow for Dad's birthday celebration, working late into the night with headphones on. Whenever I asked what she was preparing, she'd just pat my shoulder and say, "You'll see." 3 days before the party, she made an appointment at the hair salon and bought a stunning new dress. Red, confident, and completely unlike anything in her usual wardrobe. If I'm going to destroy my cheating husband publicly, I'm going to look absolutely incredible while I do it. Saturday arrived with perfect weather. Sunny, warm, ideal for Dad's 48th birthday celebration. By 2 p.m., our backyard was transformed into party paradise. Complete with string lights, cocktail tables, and a large projector screen Mom had rented for the special slideshow presentation. Dad was in an unusually good mood, humming while he set up the sound system. He'd texted Lisa that morning, "Ready for our big day, sunshine. Tonight changes everything." I knew because I was still monitoring his phone. Lisa arrived fashionably late, wearing a white sundress that screamed, "Look at me." She brought an expensive bottle of champagne for the birthday boy and made a show of hugging Mom extra tight. "You look absolutely radiant," Lisa gushed to Mom. "That dress is stunning on you." "Thank you," Mom replied sweetly. I wanted to look special for such an important occasion. The guests filtered in throughout the afternoon. Dad's parents, his work colleagues, our neighbors, Lisa's family, including her confused ex-husband, and dozens of friends who'd known our family for years. Everyone was in a celebratory mood, completely unaware they were about to witness relationship warfare. At 6 p.m., Mom called for attention by tapping her wine glass with a spoon. The crowd gathered around as she stood next to the projector screen, looking absolutely regal in her red dress. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate my wonderful husband's 48th birthday," she began, her voice carrying clearly across the yard. "We've been married for 20 incredible years, and I wanted to share some special memories with all the people who've been part of our journey." Dad's face lit up with pride. Lisa moved closer to him, clearly anticipating their moment of revelation. Neither of them noticed the predatory gleam in Mom's eyes. "I've prepared a very special slideshow that I think you'll all find enlightening." The slideshow began innocently enough. Photos of Dad and Mom's wedding day flashed across the screen, followed by pictures of their first house, family vacations, holiday celebrations. The crowd smiled and murmured appreciatively. "These are the memories I treasured for 20 years. Mom narrated, advancing through slides of our family life. All the moments that made me believe in love, trust, and commitment." Lisa whispered something to Dad, both of them glowing with anticipation for their upcoming announcement. Dad's boss raised his beer in a toast. His parents beamed with pride at their son's beautiful family. "But sometimes," Mom continued, her voice growing stronger, "the people closest to you aren't who they pretend to be." The slideshow shifted. Wedding photos dissolved into screenshots of text messages between Dad and Lisa. The birthday card message appeared in giant letters. "Happy birthday to the love of my life. 10 years of stolen moments, but worth every secret." The backyard went deadly silent. "These are messages between my husband and my best friend," Mom announced calmly as more screenshots filled the screen. Messages planning hotel meetings, discussing their future together, and mocking the stupid wife who never suspected a thing. Gasps echoed across the crowd. Lisa's face went white as printer paper. Dad stood frozen, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "Michael, what is this?" his mother called from the back of the crowd. But Mom wasn't finished. Hotel receipts appeared on screen, showing Dad's charges for romantic dinners and overnight stays. Photos of Dad and Lisa together at restaurants, on beaches, in bed. Every piece of evidence I'd helped her collect, displayed in glorious high definition for 50 witnesses. 10 years, Mom said, her voice carrying across the stunned silence. 10 years of lies, betrayal, and using our family gatherings to plan their affair. Dad finally found his voice. "This is insane. You're embarrassing yourself in front of everyone." "I'm embarrassing myself?" Mom's laugh was sharp as broken glass. "You've been sleeping with my best friend for a decade, and I'm the one who should be embarrassed?" Lisa tried to run, but her ex-husband blocked her path. "Is this why you divorced me?" he demanded. "You were cheating with him?" "It's not what it looks like," Lisa started. "It's exactly what it looks like," Mom interrupted, clicking to the next slide. Bank statements appeared showing Dad had spent $12,000 on Lisa over the past year. Hotel bills, jewelry purchases, romantic dinners, all paid for with family money while Mom clipped coupons and budgeted groceries. Dad's boss stepped forward, his face grim. "Michael, is this true?" "You don't understand," Dad pleaded. "We fell in love. These things happen." "These things happen?" Dad's mother's voice cut through the crowd like a blade. "You destroy your family and humiliate your wife, and that's your explanation?" The crowd began turning hostile. Neighbors who'd respected Dad for years looked at him with disgust. His coworkers whispered among themselves. Office affairs were grounds for termination at his company. Mom clicked to the final slide. A photo of legal documents. "I filed for divorce yesterday," she announced. "With all of this evidence, my attorney assures me I'll receive a very favorable settlement." Lisa finally broke free from the crowd and ran for the gate, tears streaming down her face. Dad started after her, then stopped, realizing every eye was on him. "The party's over," Mom declared. "Thank you all for witnessing the truth. I hope you'll remember this moment the next time someone tries to lie to your face." As guests filed out in stunned silence, Dad stood alone in the wreckage of his double life, finally understanding the price of betrayal. The aftermath of Mom's public revelation exceeded even her strategic expectations. Within hours of the party, Dad's phone was flooded with messages from family members expressing their disgust. His parents, who'd driven 2 hours to celebrate their son, left without saying goodbye to him. His brother called to say he was ashamed to share the same last name. Lisa's humiliation was even more complete. Her ex-husband immediately contacted his attorney to reopen their divorce settlement, armed with proof of her adultery. Her own family was horrified. Her sister publicly apologized to Mom on Facebook, calling Lisa's actions unforgivable. Dad's workplace consequences were swift and brutal. His boss, who'd witnessed the entire exposure, launched an investigation into Dad's expense reports. Every business dinner and client meeting that was actually an affair rendezvous became grounds for termination and potential criminal charges for fraud. Within 2 weeks, Dad was unemployed, his reputation destroyed, and facing significant legal consequences. Lisa's social media accounts disappeared overnight as mutual friends blocked her. The apartment she'd shared with Dad became a prison of isolation. No friends, no family support, no respect in the community. Mom, meanwhile, became something of a local legend. Women approached her at the grocery store to congratulate her on her courage. "You did what we all wish we could do," became a common refrain. Justice had never looked so satisfying. The woman who emerged from the wreckage of her marriage was someone I barely recognized, and someone I admired completely. Mom threw herself into rebuilding with fierce determination. She enrolled in real estate classes, something she'd always wanted to do, but never had time for while managing Dad's needs. Her first sale came within 3 months, to a divorced woman who specifically requested the agent who exposed her cheating husband at that legendary birthday party. Our house felt different without Dad's presence, lighter, more peaceful. Mom redecorated his office into an art studio, fulfilling another dream she'd abandoned during 20 years of marriage. Her paintings, vibrant and bold, reflected a creative energy that had been suppressed for decades. The divorce settlement was indeed favorable. Dad's documented financial infidelity, combined with his lost income, meant Mom received the house, majority custody despite my age, and substantial alimony. His affair had become the most expensive mistake of his life. 6 months later, Mom started dating again. Not desperately or vindictively, but with the confidence of someone who knows her worth. Her new boyfriend, David, treats her with the respect and appreciation she deserves. "I spent 20 years trying to be the perfect wife for someone who didn't value perfection," she told me. "Now I'm learning to be perfectly myself." The transformation was remarkable and inspiring. Mom's experience taught our family valuable lessons that every viewer needs to understand. The 3 biggest warning signs we missed were phone secrecy, schedule manipulation, and emotional distancing. When someone suddenly becomes protective of their phone, starts working unusual hours without explanation, or stops sharing daily details about their life, pay attention. These aren't necessarily proof of cheating, but they're worth investigating. Family friends who become overly involved in your personal business represent a special danger. Lisa used her insider knowledge to help Dad avoid suspicion and manipulate situations. Be cautious of friends who ask too many questions about your finances, schedule, or marriage problems. For anyone facing similar betrayal, Mom's strategy offers a blueprint. Document everything before confronting anyone. Screenshots, bank records, location data, evidence disappears once cheaters know they're caught. Contact a divorce attorney immediately for legal guidance about asset protection and evidence gathering. Most importantly, control your own narrative. Cheaters will lie, manipulate, and blame their victims to avoid consequences. By exposing the truth publicly, Mom prevented Dad and Lisa from spinning their affair as a romantic love story or blaming her for their betrayal. "The truth has power," Mom always says now, but only if you're brave enough to tell it completely. These lessons could save someone else's family from the same devastation we experienced. Mom's story resonated far beyond our small community. She received messages from women across the country who'd experienced similar betrayals, thanking her for showing them that survivors can reclaim their power. "Your courage gave me permission to stop being ashamed," one message read. "I'm filing for divorce tomorrow." She started a support group for betrayed spouses, meeting monthly at our local library. The group grew from 3 women to over 20 within 6 months. Mom's experience taught her that healing happens faster when survivors support each other instead of suffering in isolation. "Betrayal tries to make you feel alone and worthless," she tells group members. "But you're part of a community now. We understand what you've survived, and we're proof that life gets better." Our family emerged stronger than ever. The experience taught us that sometimes losing toxic people, even family members, is actually winning. Dad's absence revealed how much emotional energy we'd wasted managing his deception. But our story doesn't end here. 6 months later, we discovered Lisa had been running the same scheme with 2 other married men simultaneously. Her pattern of targeting family friends and using insider information to manipulate situations had destroyed multiple families. That revelation launched an entirely new chapter of justice that would shock everyone who thought they knew how this story ended.